How nice it is to see you. Welcome once again to the Internet Archives of Audio Oddities. Strange and unusual, ancient tunes on wax cylinders and old 78 RPM discs from the early part of the 20th century, old radio commercials, bizarre movie trailers, and some original comedy produced by our host for your podcasting enjoyment. Welcome to the Internet Archives of Audio Oddities. You never know what you'll hear. And now, live, if you're listening to Spreaker Web Radio from 10 a.m. to noon, Eastern Time. Not quite so live if you're listening on Podomatic, YouTube or SoundCloud. Here's the curator of our little museum of freaky treats and comic curiosities. You know him. You love him. You can't live without him. The one and only impresario of the archives, Bill Schmalfeld.
Yes, kids, here we go, and the fun times begin. Good morning, it's 10:02 a.m. on Monday, June 8th, 2015. I'm Bill Schmalfeld, the impresario of the archives here. And this is going to be something, well, kinda new. If you think back to the old Dr. Demento show, he had this affinity for 78 RPM records. We go back even further than that. We've got some old wax cylinders here we're going to crank out for you. We've got some old-time radio commercials. We've got, some bizarre movie trailers from the sort of thing you might see at a Friday night double feature drive-in. And hopefully, we're going to have a good time here. So, let's waste no further time and begin with this. This is from the Arthur Pryor Band.
down on the levee in old Alabama. They Daddy and Mammy, they Ethan and Tammy on a moonlight night. You can find them all while they are waiting. The banjos are syncopating. What's that they're saying? What's that they're saying? While they keep playing, humming and swaying. It's a good ship, Robert E. Lee, that comes to carry the cotton away. Oh Lordy, watch them jumping along. See them jumping along. Oh, take your best gal, real pal, go down to the levee. I say to the levee and join that shuffling song. Hear that music and song. It's simply great, waiting on the levee, waiting for the Robert E. Lee. The smokestacks are showing, the whistles are blowing, the ropes they are throwing. Excuse me, I'm going to the place where all is harmonious. Even the preacher, why he is the dancing teacher. Have you been down there? Were you around there? If you ever go there, you'll always be found there. Why, doggone, here comes my baby on the good old Robert E. Lee. Oh Lordy, watch them jumping along. See them jumping along. Oh, take your best gal, real pal, go down to the levee. I repeat, to the levee and join that shuffling song. Hear that music and song. It's simply great, waiting on the levee, waiting for the Robert E. Lee.
In other news, the NRA has elected an actual 55-gallon drum of lard to be its next president. Replacing David Keene, this 55-gallon drum of lard prefers to be called Jim Porter. However, the new NRA president will not be making many public appearances, leaving most of that to spokesperson Wayne LaPierre. Let's go to correspondent Mulch Obermansky in Houston, who has landed a network exclusive, the first interview with the NRA president. Thank you, Hammond. I'm here with the newly elected NRA president, Jim Porter, and NRA spokesperson Wayne LaPierre, who will translate for Mr. Porter. Mr. Porter, congratulations on your election.
Mr. Porter says thank you.
Mr. Porter, do you plan to do anything differently than your predecessor, Mr. David Keene?
Mr. Porter says David Keene was an excellent president who oversaw massive growth in the NRA and our representation of America's 25 billion gun owners, and he looks forward to continuing and expanding on that tradition.
But the obvious question, Mr. Porter, you're a tub of lard. Not meant as an insult, sir, but you are an actual 55-gallon drum of lard. How can you effectively lead an organization like the NRA?
Yes, I'll tell him. Mr. Porter understands you didn't mean any insult with your question, and he assures you that he understands that some of you left-wing journalists, in an effort to serve your master, Barack Hussein Obama, will make an issue out of his lack of physical form and his need to be contained in a 55-gallon drum. But he's never let that be a hindrance to him before, and he has risen through the ranks to become president of the National Rifle Association, so your petty insults mean nothing to Mr. Porter. Do you hear me? Nothing!
Does your election signify an even more right-wing turn for the NRA, more resistance to anything that even slightly resembles stricter controls on the sales of guns?
He said, probably. Well, thank you both for your time, Mr. LaPierre. Thank you. And how do I shake hands with Mr. Porter? Just stick your hand in there. Right into the lard. Right in there. I'd rather not. Do it. Do it now. All right, Mr. Porter, and it was a pleasure to... I'm being pulled into the barrel. Really? Yes, it has my arm, and it's sucking me into the barrel. Goodness, what a frightful situation. Grab my other arm, Mr. LaPierre. Pull me out. Oh, I don't think so. Mr. Porter requires sustenance. Oh, my God! It's up to my shoulder. My head. This interview has ended. Disturbing. Very disturbing. In other news, a particularly adorable little kitty cat named Flouncy was retrieved from a sewer grate today when the Birmingham Fire Department used high-pressure water hoses to...
Once again, showing my respect for the medium of television. That was a piece I did, an interview with the president of the NRA shortly after Jim Porter was elected to that position. Of course, you never see him. Have you ever seen the guy? Of course not. He's a 55-gallon drum of lard. You are listening to the... What is this? The Internet Archives of Audio Oddities. Here on Spreaker Web Radio. We're coming to you live right now at 10:13 a.m. on a Monday morning, Eastern Daylight Time. That's right. And much more to come. So stick around, why don't you?
Now, Sugar Crinkles, the sugar rice treat that's just right sweet, is proud to present Gunsmoke.
I wear the cleanest clothes in town, so does my family. And yours can too, 'cause all you do is use T-I-D-E. Tide gets clothes cleaner than any soap. Any soap? Yes, any soap. You get the cleanest wash in town with T-I-D-E Tide.
Say, you'd like to get the cleanest wash in town, wouldn't you? Sure. And Tide will give it to you every time. Reason we're so positive about that is we've proved it in the laboratory. There isn't a soap sold today we haven't tested against Tide, and that probably includes any soap you've ever used yourself. Well, the results read like this. Tide gets clothes cleaner than any other washing product sold throughout America. Of course, millions of you women have proved that right in your own washing machines. But where our results are in facts and figures, yours are in those cleaner overalls the kids romp around in. The cleaner towels you stack away each wash day. So put your clothes in those wonderful Tide Suds. Then wring 'em, rinse 'em, and hang up the cleanest wash in town.
Tide gets clothes cleaner than any soap.
Any soap?
Yes, any soap.
You get the cleanest wash in town with
T-I-D-E Tide.
T-I-D-E Tide.
Before we return to the halls of Ivy, let's hear the story of how one man developed a taste for family parties and Schlitz beer.
Well, ordinarily, I look forward to family parties like I look forward to 2 weeks of rain on my vacation. Oh, but I make one exception. There's a certain relative of my wife who can win me away from my fireside any day. He's the one who introduced me to Schlitz beer, and I still thank him for it. I remember when this relative first invited us over for a family get-together. My wife wanted to go, and I didn't, so we compromised and went. On the way over, I visualized a dismal evening playing some game like charades, which I happen to particularly detest. But things began to look up the moment our host greeted us at the door and said, I hope you won't mind if we don't waste the evening playing silly parlor games. And when I discovered that we were both fly fishermen, well, I began to think of my host as more of a friend than a relative. It was just about then that he brought in the Schlitz beer. Well, the evening was full of pleasant surprises. I'd heard many good things about Schlitz and had always planned to try it. So try it I did. And never have I tasted a beer as satisfying. As I drank, I found myself hoping that this particular in-law would throw another family party very soon. And I found myself saying, as surely others have said in tasting this fine beer, no wonder they call Schlitz a beer that made Milwaukee famous.
Think of these audio exhibits, like that display case you remember from 9th grade science class. You remember? The pig embryo in the jar full of formaldehyde? The cow eyeball the teacher actually let you touch? These exhibits are just like that, only not nearly as memorable. And you won't have to explain it to your psychologist when you grow up. He made us touch the eyeball. You're listening to the Internet Archives of Audio Oddities.
And we're live on Spreaker Web Radio, if you happen to be listening, at 10 a.m., 10:17 a.m. Eastern Time on Monday, the 8th of June. I plan for this to be a 5-day-a-week occurrence. I'm broadcasting from my living room here in Elkridge, Maryland, which will soon become a hospital room. My wife is in the hospital, and she will be coming home at some point this week. We're going to do the home hospice thing, which makes her very happy, and it makes me very happy. I was concerned about the whole concept of home hospice until it was made clear to me that they'll provide all the equipment I need to be able to move her around safely. She's conscious, and conversant, and feels like she's being left out of, family life, which in large part she is because she's in the hospital, has been for a week. But they want to get a final handle on what's caused all of this. She had a liver ultrasound yesterday. I haven't heard the results of that yet. I'm expecting a call from one of our hospice providers, and we'll arrange for the equipment to be sent to my home here. And once we have all that, Gail's coming home. Times like these where I wish I could drink. Actually, it's kind of a mixed feeling. The medicines I take for Parkinson's disease would, if I started drinking again, it would make me die. I haven't had a drink since, I think, something like 2011 or so. And there's just, even if I could drink, I don't think I would really want to, because, you get a buzz and then the next day you feel miserable and you still have your problems to deal with on top of a hangover. So I guess we'll call it a small blessing. Anyway, you are listening to the Internet Archives of Audio Oddities, and here's Billy Murray.
The poet may sing of the friends who will cling to you when you are gloomy and blue. But I have one friend who will stick to the end, just the dearest friend I ever knew. Whenever I'm sad and the world treats me badly, into some rascaller I stray. I fill up a sign with this old friend of mine, and I dream all my sorrow away. But mine is a friend of mine, yes, a friend of mine. What care I if the sun don't shine while I've got Budweiser? That's the reason I feel so fine, yes, I feel so fine. Although Bill the Kaiser's a friend of Budweiser, Budweiser's a friend of mine. Bill Brown just been married. One night he was carried up home at the hour of 1. His wife, who'd retired, got up and admired his beautiful, beautiful bun. She asked to detain him, her angry voice pained him. She said, where on earth did you roam? He answered, Eliza, I've been with Budweiser. I've been taking Budweiser home. But Budweiser's a friend of mine, yes, a friend of mine. What care I if the sun don't shine while I've got Budweiser? That's the reason I feel so fine, yes, I feel so fine. Although in the Kaiser's a friend of Budweiser's, Budweiser's a friend of mine.
My fellow Americans, here in the middle of the first quarter of the 21st century, as we flip the page of the calendar to a new year and new fear, we find ourselves at a crossroad. Our very survival as a nation depends upon which direction we take. Go ahead. Take a good long look at the signpost in front of you. If we keep going the same direction we're going, well, we're going to wind up where everybody expects us to go, and that's no place fast. And who can see beyond the far horizon? I can't. Can you? And what lies over the next hill? Is it a beautiful village where the people all look like Hummel figurines and the town was painted into existence by the late Thomas Kincaid? Or is it a dismal dystopian wasteland where feral children with rotten teeth lure their victims into the cornfields and road warrior incarnations of Mel Gibson rocket their death blasters in their never-ending search for Kevin Costner as he continues to look endlessly for a patch of dry land? Or is there something in between. Something that seems like it might be a nice place when you see it from a distance, but as you get closer to the city limits, the air reeks with the stench of dirty feet. And the further you go, the worse it gets. There's only one way to find out, and that's to plunge forward with hope in our hearts that everything will be okay. So let's not do that. Also, let us not yield to the temptation to turn back and retrace our steps to whence we came before we were here. That's not the American way. That's not even the Canadian way. Maybe that's what they do in Slovakia, but I've never been to Slovakia. That leaves us with the choice of left or right. Is the right way the wrong way, or will it take us right to where we all left? Which is in front or in back of us, depending on your perspective. And that's what it's all about, my fellow American. Perspective. What's yours?
Hello, I'm Texas Congressman Louis Gohmert. Now, there's a lot of misconceptions about me out there that I'd like to take a moment of your time to clear up, if I may. For one thing, I'm not crazy. That seems to be one of the more popular misconceptions out there in the mainstream media, is that I am a crazy man, which I am not. Would a crazy man love America as much as I do? Might even say, I'm crazy about America, but I am not crazy about gay sex. No, sir. Men putting things inside other men that belong on the outside of other men and not inside other men disgust me. Shot glasses, flashlights, gerbils, and them little fuckers bite. You get bit inside the colon by one of them little fuckers, let me tell you, stings like a son of a bitch. And infection, whoa, that's a problem. Because you know what goes through your colon, right? Can you think of anything nastier and more germ-covered than a poop-covered guinea pig? Hell, I can't. And that's the sort of thing that leads people to trying to take our guns. Owning a gun and a guinea pig is a basic American right. Every man, woman, child, and hamster owner should have a gun. For one thing, not only can you protect yourself against minorities moving into your neighborhood, but if you should happen to get a field mouse caught up your colon, they sneak in there sometimes at night, you can stick a hunk of cheese into the barrel of a gun, stick it up the old poop chute, and if the mouse ain't already full from eating your goddamn intestinal linings, which they will, he will bite the cheese, and you can pull him right out of there where he never should have been in the first place, which is why you should never go to bed without underwear on, because if the mouse has to chew through your underwear, he'll probably wake you up. If he gets to just kind of slide up in there like it's a mouse hole, you might not even know he's there until it's too late. Hell, I knew a feller once had a field mouse stuck up his ass for nearly a year. Every day he'd put a wheel of cheddar cheese into his toilet and just sit there over it, hoping the mouse would smell the cheese and just come out on his own. It did come out, eventually, through his belly button. That's how they found him, dead, on his toilet, with a hole in his belly and a very bloody mouse trying to work its way between his ass cheeks into the toilet where it could get at the cheese. We had to burn the whole house down, but you didn't hear that from me. No, sir. If someone asks you how LBJ died, you just stick with the heart attack story if you know what's good for you. I'm Texas Congressman Louis Gohmert, and I approve this message because I'm not crazy. You got any cheese in here? All of a sudden I'm hungry for a goddamn little hunk of cheese.
Meanwhile, let me pass on the good word about the new Kraft Dinner. This famous macaroni and cheese still cooks in 7 minutes. But the new Kraft Dinner gives you a richer, fuller cheese flavor. Just what you cheese lovers have been hankering for, the flavor of golden cheddar through and through a dish full of tender, fluffy, light macaroni. And to think you cook it in just 7 minutes. When the folks taste the new Kraft Dinner, they'll say it's incredible that you could whip up such swell macaroni and cheese so fast. Kraft's tireless research, of course, is responsible for the goodness of the 2 ingredients in each Kraft Dinner box. The special macaroni and the Kraft grated that gives such splendid cheese flavor. Let them work their speed magic in your kitchen to give you point-thrifty, good-eating main dishes. At your food store tomorrow, get a couple of packages of the new Kraft Dinner. Each box makes enough for 4 servings, and you get 2 boxes for 1 single red point.
Ever wonder why that Chick Ballet restaurant is so anti-gay? Well, wonder no more. We at Tennessee Fried Chicken have done extensive research on that subject and have determined that there is no limit to the anti-gay attitudes of the owners of Chick Ballet. In fact, when you look at their marketing, it's quite devious and insane at the same time. You see, Chick Ballet goes to cities with large gay populations, coordinates with employment agencies, and advertises job openings in areas that gay men will find appealing. Interior decorating, disco DJ, florist, steelworker, cowboy, things like that. When the gay person shows up for the interview, it's a simple matter of chloroform on a rag, and Chick Ballet has a new source of fresh meat. Be honest. When's the last time you ate a Chick Ballet sandwich that tasted like real chicken? Huh? Think about it. And by working up homophobic hatred, they ensure that not only are they getting rid of the gay population, but they're filling their pockets with gold while you fill your tummy with gay. Don't believe us? Fine. Compare a Tennessee Fried Chicken sandwich with a Chick Ballet sandwich. Which one tastes more like deep-fried gay guy to you? Let your taste buds be the judge, like God will be the judge for the murderous owners of Chick Ballet. Just don't say no one warned you.
Well, howdy, compadres. This here's Texas Governor Rick Perry with some good news for some 1.5 million of our state's lower-income citizens. Thanks to me and my partners down there in the state legislature and whatnot, you will have the honor of getting sick and dropping dead rather than having the great state of Texas become part of that socialist, Marxist, and perhaps even Kenyan scheme known as Obamacare. Yes, sir. Our legislature's gone and decided that we ain't gonna not take that $100 billion of money offered to the state under Obamacare since the Supreme Court says we don't gotta. See, in order to put you poor folks on expanded Medicaid, we gotta take that money, that 100 billion pieces of silver from the Kenyan Marxist Muslim socialist, and that means we'd be held hostage as the Obama administration tries to force us to get you insured, which I have decided is a system that is busted beyond all repair, despite the fact that
so many people in other states use it every day and seem to like it a bunch. Well, sir, we Texans ain't like other folks, and we prove it every day. Now, these bean counter eggheads what knows stuff says this means a loss of about $7 billion to Texas hospitals, which comes on top of the $700 million a year reduction in Medicaid payments from the state budget shortfalls and sequestration cuts and whatnot. So to show y'all how rugged and tough we Texas folks is, y'all poor Texans is going to have to struggle to find coverage y'all can afford, since the law does not offer federal tax credits to purchase private health insurance coverage for most folks below the poverty line. But don't worry about it none. We still got emergency rooms. So we here in Texas will continue paying the taxes that pay for Medicare expansion, but we will send them dollars and benefits to other states where their poor people is pussies, not like Texas. We don't want your money, Obama. And the poor people in Texas? Hell, being sick is a bitch and all that, but would you rather be sick and free or feeling good and a slave to Marxist Kenyan Muslim Obamaism? And besides, when you die, Jesus will have a special attaboy for sticking to your guns. Ain't Texas a special, magical place? Live free or die, motherfuckers.
In other news, the Texas legislature Sunday approved the final version of a bill that would allow students with gun licenses to keep their firearms in cars on college campuses. Following this approval, the bill will be headed to Governor Rick Perry to be signed into law.
In other news, 2 people are dead and 5 injured, including a sheriff, after a gunman in Central Texas opened fire on several vehicles, apparently at random, authorities said. The Texas Department of Public Safety said the gunman is among the dead. His identity was not released Monday.
In other news, Corsicana, Texas police say a 2-year-old boy has died after accidentally shooting himself in the head in a North Texas home while his father was nearby. Corsicana police on Thursday identified the victim as...
And in other news, a 5-year-old boy in Denton, Texas was left in critical condition after he was shot in the head by his 8-year-old friend Saturday morning. According to the Denton Record Chronicle, the police said the 2 boys were alone in the bedroom when the older child found a .22 caliber rifle, pointed it at the other boy.
Attention, please. During every suspenseful moment of the running of the motion picture Macabre, the life of everyone in this theater will be insured by Lloyd's of London for $1,000 against death by fright. However, even Lloyd's of London will not grant coverage for any person with a known condition or for suicide by any member of the audience.
No, what has he done, Polly? Tell me. Go on.
She's not dead. Not yet. That she's in a good, big coffin for her.
Don't worry about being scared to death. Your heirs will collect after you've gone.
Where is she? I can hear her breathing. Where is she?
Bring someone with you to see this motion picture. You'll want some live hands to hold during the performance. And you won't want to go home alone after it's finished, if you're able to go home. And we won't worry about your telling anybody the ending of this picture, because you may not be around to tell. These are the living members of its cast. If you meet any of them in a dark alley, we advise you to scream for help, if it's not too late to scream.
If you enjoy this sort of old-timey, argle-bargle and foo-fa-ra, then somehow we just know you will enjoy our channel of old-time radio chills and thrills on Live 365 Internet Radio. 35 hours of Inner Sanctum Mysteries.
Lipton Tea and Lipton Soup present Inner Sanctum Mysteries. Come on in, friends. Into the Inner Sanctum. This is really a lovely place. Oh, kind of dark and cobwebby. But then the maid hasn't been around for some time. No, she was playing the numbers. Then her number came up. Why, through these portals pass some of the nicest people in the world. True, they're rather boring, but after all, they are deadheads. And I'll take a good old redhead deadhead any time.
Now I have to go change my scanties. Make sure you have a ready supply of fresh, clean undergarments when you listen to Inner Sanctum Radio on Live 365.
And now, friends, for those of you who like morals with your drama, here's one for tonight. Never mix your partner's business with your pleasure. For if you do, he may consider it a pleasure to give you the business.
You can find the link on our homepage, www.audioauditorsarchives.com. That's all one word. Check the sidebar at www.audioauditorsarchives.com for the link to Inner Sanctum Radio on Live 365. We dare you.
It's enough to make your camera shudder. Good night. Pleasant dreams.
Here's a fun idea. If you have inconsiderate neighbors who play their rap music, rock and roll, or salsa music real loud, put your computer speakers by an open window and crank the volume up to 11. That'll teach those neighbors to mess with your peace and quiet. You're listening to the Internet Archives of Audio Oddities.
And I'm Bill Schmalfelt, the curator of the Internet Archive of Audio Oddities. 10:44 a.m. on this June 8th, a Monday in the year of our Lord 2015. I got off the phone a few moments ago, as a matter of fact, with the folks at one of our local hospice providers, and I'm actually amazed at how quickly things move once you get them rolling. So they stopped in my wife's room, but she wasn't there, so I'm assuming that they've got her down in the treatment room to tap some more of the fluid from her abdomen, and that would tell me they've got a diagnosis now from the ultrasound, and it's just good news all the way around, because she'll be... They said the equipment can be here in hours, not days, hours. So, gosh, it would be nice if I could have her home tonight, or tomorrow at the latest, because she probably has, months to go before, becoming comatose or anything like that. So, first of all, we got to find out just exactly what the problem is. Maybe she's been doing that Charlie Chaplin walk too much. Here's Henry Fay.
The family next door to me is very, very sad. From picture plays has got this face, a Charlie Chaplin man. The youngest son, he's bought for fun a Charlie Chaplin pain, and wears a funny looking folder on his little brain. They're absolutely dotty, there's no doubt, and nicely when the family talks aloud. They all do the Charlie Chaplin walk. The Charlie Chaplin walk is all the talk. From London town to far New York, everybody's doing it. The girls go to see him every night, and they all think he's a treat. And the only thing they ever dream about the Charlie Chaplin feet. They all do the Charlie Chaplin walk. The Charlie Chaplin walk is all the talk. From London town to far New York, everybody's doing it. The girls go to see him every night, and they all think he's a freak. And the only things they ever dream about are Charlie Chaplin's feet. I've lately read when folks get wed, the bridegroom smart and gay. To raise a smile goes up the aisle in Charlie Chaplin way. And life in jail is never stale to make the prisoners laugh. They show them Charlie Chaplin in the cinematograph. And every time the convicts and the guards go exercising round the prison yard, they all do the Charlie Chaplin walk. The Charlie Chaplin walk is all the talk. From London town to far New York, everybody's doing it. The girls go to see him every night, and they all think he's a freak. And the only things they ever dream about are Charlie Chaplin's feet. They all do the Charlie Chaplin walk. The Charlie Chaplin walk is all the talk. From London town to far New York, everybody's doing it. The girls go to see him every night, and they all think he's a treat. And the only things they ever dream about the Charlie Chaplin feet.
it's time for another great moment in Nebraska Cornhuskers football history. April 2013. Little 7-year-old Jack Hoffman, a 7-year-old from Atkinson, Nebraska, has been battling pediatric brain cancer. His one wish, to score a touchdown with the Nebraska Cornhuskers. At their spring football game, the Cornhuskers tried to make this dream come true for little Jack Hoffman. Listen.
And he's wearing the number 22, guys.
It is Jack Hoffman of Team Jack coming out on the field right now in this 4th down and short.
For the red team,
Jack Hoffman has been adopted really by this football team. A young man who has battled brain cancer is on the field right now for the Huskers.
One more snap for Taylor Martinez, too, who will hand it off to Jack.
So Taylor gets the shotgun set, gives it to Jack. Here he goes. He's got blockers out in front.
There he goes.
Jack is running to midfield. Listen to this crowd as Jack Hoffman, a young man that, as I mentioned, has really been adopted by this football.
It's all right. His legs are moving or twitching, but it looks like he's going to be okay.
That was a moment right there. Wow, goosebumps.
And once again, the big red defense comes through, stopping 7-year-old brain cancer victim Jack Hoffman from scoring what seemed to be a certain touchdown. Well, it seemed like most of the defense was asleep on that play, like they weren't really expecting it. Yeah, I mean, really a good call on the offense to put a 7-year-old kid in there, especially one with brain cancer. And the big guys on the defense, you know, they've got good hearts and everything, but you just can't let them in your house. You just can't let the offense score. Good job. Another big day for the Nebraska defense. Is the medical staff even going to look at the kid? He's just still kind of laying there on the 2-yard line. Oh, well. Oh, he was so close. Little Jack Hoffman, 7-year-old brain cancer victim from Atkinson, Nebraska, almost scoring a touchdown for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. This has been another great moment in Nebraska Cornhuskers football history. I was looking at my internet the other day, and I saw Brian Fisher of the AFA, that's the American Family Association, in the event that you were unsure. Now, we know he hates sin in a fervent way, but during times of war, he said it's okay. The Bible makes certain allowances, and Jesus would okay torture. Said our God of love knows what fists are for, and Exodus calls him a man of war. That's Exodus chapter 15, verse 3, if you look it up. He said Jesus weren't no pacifist, and when he comes back, he'll be damn well pissed, and probably not in no good mood neither, so you better tidy up. He'll be riding that white horse of anger, and his robe will be dipped in fresh blood. Brian Fisher said Christ is a warrior, and he'll leave the sinners bleeding in the mud. At first, I admit I was at a loss to think that a man who got nailed to a cross would approve of the use of torture, even during times of war. Made no sense to me, but Fisher seems like a decent guy and not the kind to tell a lie. It seems like he knows his Jesus, and that's good enough for me. Still, it seems kind of odd that our Holy Lord would give his blessings to a waterboard, and that forced rectal rehydration, that seems beyond the pale. But Fisher said he has no doubt, and he knows what he is preaching about. So let's puree up some sirloin and shove it up his tail. He'll be riding that white horse of anger, and his robe will be dipped in fresh blood. Brian Fisher said Christ is a warrior, and and he'll leave the sinners bleeding in the mud. Now, if you believe that Fisher's zany, just ask the Lord, or Dick Cheney. That's Cheney, if you say it like Chris Matthews, that TV hardball fella. Now, no one expects the Inquisition, which just hangs them up in uncomfortable positions. And if you can't support that, you're a commie or you're yellow. As if Brian Fisher would give out bum information on a subject like that. I mean, Lord. And you know, it takes a good soap to keep a white horse of anger snowy white and pure as the driven snow.
The first prize offered by the makers of Palmolive soap in their big, exciting 49 Gold Rush contest. Second prize, $4,900. And there are 4,949 other cash prizes. What a chance to win. $100,000 in cash prizes, and it's easy to enter. Simply finish this sentence, I like Palmolive soap because, in 25 words or less. That's all. Just 25 words or less to finish the sentence, I like Palmolive soap because. Then mail your entry right away with a Palmolive soap wrapper. Easy, isn't it? And remember, thousands will strike it rich in this big 49 Gold Rush contest. Enter as often as you like. Get entry blanks and complete rules from your dealer, or send your entries on plain paper with your name and address and dealer's name and address, plus one Palmolive wrapper for each entry. Mail to Gold Rush Contest, Box 49, New York 8, New York. You better write that down. Gold Rush Contest, Box 49, New York 8, New York. Get Palmolive soap right away to help win a lovelier complexion and try for your share of the $100,000 in cash prizes.
Here's a mutual note for you. Even the most active of youngsters needs a brief let-up now and then from summertime strenuous outdoor play. Every weekday afternoon at 5 o'clock, Mutual presents a variety of programs to delight all children. There are exciting adventures in a fantastic land of imaginary characters where anything is possible and all things are wonderful. Kids and grown-ups, too, will love these fancy-free tales of out-of-this-world entertainment. The Best of the West comes your way as well every Monday through Friday afternoon, when you can listen to the cowboy songs and tunes that are everyone's favorites. The music that is part of the history of frontier days and that still is part of the background of Western life today brings the color and drama of the open range into your own living room. Everyone, young and old alike, can take pleasure in Mutual's Children's Hour that offers programs for entrancing listening. Open the door to a limitless world of entertainment for all children. Tune to Mutual every weekday afternoon at 5 o'clock and hear them all over most of these stations.
What's the speed?
Over 10,000 miles an hour. At the moment, it's headed straight for London.
Bursting out of today's headlines, the spine-tingling tale of an invader from the distant reaches of the universe.
There is no doubt that a large object landed here and disappeared.
Incredible. The sphere's changing. It's growing unbearable. Can't stand it any longer.
I'm going to get him out of there.
I don't think any human mind thought it up. And I don't believe any human hand built it.
A fantastic creature armed with superhuman power, kidnapping beautiful girls to satisfy his primitive lust for violence and savagery. Blood Beast from Outer Space. For the shock of your life, see Blood Beast from Outer Space. Who knows what eyes are watching Earth? Watching.
Some of these songs, from the early part of the 20th century, are not what anyone would call politically correct. If you are easily offended by racist lyrics, from a time in American history when such things were commonplace, grow up, you big baby. This is part of history. This isn't an Orwell novel. We're not going to memory hole each and every bit of audio that might offend somebody. Jesus, you can't change history. So please, whine to someone else. I'm not interested. Now, back to the Internet Archives of Audio Oddities.
some shocking details of a human male in New Jersey being aroused by sexy talk and photographs. Let's go to Bill Hummer for details. Bill.
Thank you, Megan. We've just received exclusive word here at Faux News that another human male has been aroused by looking at pictures of naked women and by having sexually oriented conversations with them.
Didn't this guy learn his lesson from Anthony Weiner?
Apparently not, Megan. In fact, according to the man's wife, she was wondering what was taking him so long in the bathroom, so she opened the door and saw him, and I quote, pleasuring himself to the images in Hustler magazine.
Hustler? I've never heard of that one. Is it a clothing catalog of some sort?
Shockingly, no, Megan. It's a magazine filled with images of women, many of whom are wearing no clothing whatsoever and displaying their genitalia in a shockingly provocative fashion.
And when you say pleasuring himself, Bill, what exactly are you talking about?
Well, Megan, one hesitates to say this out loud, but apparently, according to this man's wife, he was using one hand to hold the magazine and the other to manually arouse his own genitalia.
Sweet bleeding Jesus, I think I'm gonna be sick.
It's not an easy story to hear or tell, Megan.
Do you have a name for this pervert?
Name is Elmer McDiddle. Turns out he's a teller at the Jerseyville Savings and Loan.
All right, Bill, we'll let you dig in to find out more of the sordid, sickening details. Now we join Shepard Smythe at the offices of the Jerseyville Savings and Loan.
Thank you, Megan. I'm standing here with Paul O'Prudence, president of the Jerseyville Savings and Loan. Sir, you heard the report from the McDiddle House of Perversion. Would you ask this man for his resignation?
I should say not. I'm firing him as of this moment. Who wants to do business with a man who touches himself down there?
An understandable reaction.
Would you want to touch money that was touched with his hand? I mean,
the disgust of a nation is with you, sir. Back to you, Megan.
Thanks, Shep. Well, we've seen the first results of our faux news poll asking the question, what should be done with criminals who touch themselves in provocative fashions? Turns out most folks didn't understand the question, so we're going to reword it to, how many years in jail should a man who touches his own genitalia get? We now join Greta Van Susteren, or is it Cistern? I can never remember. She's with the mayor of Jerseyville.
Thank you, Megan. I'm standing here with Herbert McPureheart, mayor of this small New Jersey town. Mr. Mayor, will you be evicting this horrible fiend from your town?
Assuredly, Greta, as soon as we can round up the requisite amount of tar, feathers, and a good strong rail.
What are your first thoughts about a human male touching his own genitalia while looking at pictures of naked women?
Have we learned nothing from the Anthony Weiner debacle? Touching yourself down there? It's a sin of the most disgusting nature. I've never done it. Neither has any other decent human male that I'm aware of.
I should certainly hope not. Back to you, Megan.
This just into the faux newsroom. The McDiddle House of Self-Abuse has been set afire by outraged neighbors. The toucher of his own genitalia having been dragged from his house and shot to death in his own front yard. So horrible the crime, so swift and just the punishment. Let's check the faux news poll again and see that 98% of faux viewers feel that jail is just too good for a lewd and disgusting pervert like McDiddle, and his house should be set afire, and he should be shot in front of his burning house. His wife should be shunned and branded with a letter A on her forehead. I'm joined now by former faux news analyst Sarah Palin. Sarah, your take on this disgusting, inhuman act of self-degradation.
Well, Megan, you can betcha that if I ever caught one of my sons, Trip or Stick or Melon or Fence, touching himself like that, we'd whoop a little of the old Alaska Sharia law on him, 'cause, like it says in the Bible, if thy right hand offends me, I shall cut it off and cast it into the flames, because it's better that your whole body be burned, lest you self-defile it in such a dirty, dirty way. And don't you know that none of my boys, God love 'em, has ever shown even the slightest interest in women? I couldn't be more proud of 'em as they march off to bed at night with their bodybuilder magazines and bottles of lotion, which I assume they're going to use to give each other rub-downs after working out to get the kind of muscles those muscle guys in those muscle magazines have, because that's the sort of thing the ladies like.
Thank you, Sarah. And for those of you just joining us, a New Jersey man has been drawn and quartered in front of his own home, which still burns after he was found by his wife touching himself, down there, in a sexually aroused fashion after looking at images of naked women in a magazine. Now, more in this disgusting, dehumanizing story when it comes in. Now here's Bill O'Reilly to talk about his own brush with sex stuff. Bill?
Talk about disgusting and dehumanizing. I'm Bill Schmalfelt. This is the Internet Archives of Audio Oddities. We're in the second hour now, 9 minutes after 11 a.m. here on this 8th of June. And I've been getting a lot of business done here while the music is playing, talking on the phone, getting the hospice equipment we're going to have delivered actually this afternoon. They're moving a lot faster with the hospice stuff than they are with the hospital. I'll tell you what, I'm going to give Gail a call here in just a bit and let her know what's going on. But first, if you go back to the turn of the 19th and 20th century, there was a very popular comic strip in the Sunday comics known as Little Nemo in Dreamland. This is a 1909 recording from Victor Herbert and his orchestra. Victor Herbert, one of the great Broadway impresarios of all time, created Naughty Marietta and other such masterpieces. Here he is with the Little Nemo selection from 1909.
'cause you're chappy. Pray you don't get dirty. Dance because you're chappy. I hope you get happy. So I'd like to see an axe inside your head. You were teacher's pet in the classroom. You always got the most in croquet. to serve you up your own feces on a tray. Everyone in town wants you dead.
Need a warm up on that coffee, hon?
No, I still got about a half cup here, but thanks. Hey, did you see this?
See what, hon?
Here, look at my iPad. There's a story here from CNN.com. Look, it says that General Mills is changing the sourcing of ingredients for its original Cheerios cereal after an activist group said that the company bowed to pressure and stopped using genetically modified ingredients.
Genetically modified ingredients. That doesn't sound healthy.
Well, they're still looking into it, I guess. But the spokesperson from General Mills, some guy, I can't pronounce his last name, said, "We switched from what we were using to non-genetically modified corn and non-genetically modified pure cane sugar." He said the company didn't change the formula and has never used genetically modified oats. The company has said that it has always used whole grain oats.
Yes, but for how long have they been using the genetically modified corn and genetically modified sugar cane?
Well, I have no idea. That's pretty much all Jimmy eats for breakfast, isn't it?
Well, he's a typical 4-year-old, honey. I mean, he likes Cheerios. It's his favorite. He likes the regular. He likes the honey nut. He likes the apple cinnamon. Do you think maybe it would be a good idea to take him to a doctor just to have him give him the once-over?
Well, I haven't really noticed anything different in his behavior, and he's been eating this stuff since he was doing the finger food thing from his high chair tray.
Yeah, he's a typical rambunctious 4-year-old, I'll say that. Oh, which reminds me, we gotta get him ready for his preschool. I'll give him a holler. Jimmy, come downstairs. Jimmy, put down Grandpa. Put down Grandpa. Jimmy. No. Grandpa does not go in your mouth. No. Now he swallowed him.
Oh, that son of mine.
Gentlemen, be seated. Hey, Mr. Cletus, tell me you living out on a farm now. Why, yes, Lasses, that's right. And by the way, a peculiar incident happened on my farm last week. Don't tell me. Lasses, one of our cows ate some buttercups. And would you believe it, ever since then she has been giving buttermilk. That's right, boy. When you tell them, always do your best. Some cow, eh? Boy, it ain't even a cow. No? Boy, we had a cow went out last winter and got a tail froze, and now she's giving ice cream Sunday. The Black-billed Quartet will sing Darling Nellie Gray. Oh, my poor Nellie Gray, they have taken you away, and I'll never see my darling anymore. I am sitting by the river, and I'm weeping all the day, for you've gone from the old Kentucky shore. Hey, Mr. Glenn, I was out to the circus yesterday and I saw more funny animals. Is that so? Yeah, they had one out there they called the hippo on top of the omnibus. No, you mean the hippopotamus. Yeah, that's him. And they had another one called the effluent. No, you mean the elephant. That's him. It looked kind of like a rat, only it had 2 tails. No, Al, the one in front is called his trunk. Well, the one in the back must be his vanity case. Yeah! Mr. Charles Hart will sing silver threads among the gold. Yes, my darling, you will be always young and fair to be. Darling, I'm growing old. Is more afraid Hey, Lassie, I'm mad at you. What you mad at me about, Al? Why, I met Bill Jones on the street today, and he told me that you told him what I told you not to tell him. Why, I told him not to tell you that I told him what you told me not to tell him. Yeah, sis, he told me that you told him not to tell me that you told him what I told you not to tell him. Well, when I told him what you told me not to tell him, and told him not to tell you that I told him what you told me not to tell him, he told me he wouldn't tell you that I told him what you told me not to tell him. Mr. Al Bernard will sing My Gal. I'm gonna tell you about my gal. He's gonna tell you about his gal. I love to tell you about my gal. He loves to tell you about his gal. My gal, she's a top-class lady. My gal, she's a high-toned lady. She's so sweet, she's so nice. Soon I'm gonna have her in a shower of rice. My gal, she loves her honey. My gal, she loves his money. Looks like this her on the eye. Don't it taste like apple pie? That's why I'm singing about my gal. That's why he's singing about his gal.
If you enjoy this sort of old-timey, argle-bargle and foo-fa-ra, then somehow we just know you will enjoy our channel of old-time radio chills and thrills on Live 365 Internet Radio. 35 hours of Inner Sanctum mysteries.
Lipton Tea and Lipton Soup present Inner Sanctum Mysteries. Come on in, friends. Into the Inner Sanctum. This is really a lovely place. Oh, kind of dark and cobwebby. But then the maid hasn't been around for some time. No, she was playing the numbers. Then her number came up. Why, through these portals pass some of the nicest people in the world. True, they're rather boring, but after all, they are deadheads. And I'll take a good old redhead deadhead any time.
Now I have to go change my scanties. Make sure you have a ready supply of fresh, clean undergarments when you listen to Inner Sanctum Radio on Live 365.
And now, friends, for those of you who like morals with your drama, here's one for tonight. Never mix your partner's business with your pleasure. For if you do, he may consider it a pleasure to give you the business.
You can find the link on our homepage, www.audioauditorsarchives.com. That's all one word. Check the sidebar at www.audioauditorsarchives.com for the link to Inner Sanctum Radio on Live 365. We dare you.
It's enough to make your camera shudder. Good night. Pleasant dreams.
When a bachelor friend of the family tries to tell you how to bring up your children, it isn't very helpful. You want suggestions to come from someone who is more of an authority on the subject.
And so it is with gasoline. The paid-for recommendations found in the advertised claims of other fuels are as tinkling brass and sounding cymbals when contrasted with the thoughtful, founded on actual test endorsement given Rio Grande cracked gasoline by the officials of 30 leading cities and counties of California. These recognized authorities choose Rio Grande cracked exclusively to power their police cars, fire engines, ambulances, and other emergency equipment. This highest, more convincing recommendation has caused a vast army of thinking motorists to swear loyal allegiance to the gasoline which ranks number one with those who know best because they drive the most. They declare that Rio Grande cracked meets every one of their rigid requirements, delivers quicker one-punch starting, steady trip-hammer acceleration, the longer reach of economical mileage, extra stamina, and greater reserve power. They know what they're talking about, and intelligent motorists appreciate that kind of a recommendation. If you haven't yet joined the parade of motorists who have made a habit of traveling farther for less money, pull in at your Rio Grande dealers tomorrow morning. Fill up with Rio Grande cracked gasoline and begin letting this police car performance fuel make life easier for your motor and your purse.
Friends, the makers of Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum hope you enjoyed tonight's episode of Life with Luigi. And they want to remind you that you'll find Wrigley's Spearmint Gum a friendly, helpful companion to take with you wherever you go. At work, in your car, out shopping, no matter where you happen to be, you can slip a stick of refreshing Wrigley's Spearmint Gum in your mouth and enjoy some mighty good chewing. Wrigley's Spearmint freshens your taste, sweetens your breath, and the chewing action helps keep your teeth clean and bright. So chew a stick of Wrigley's Spearmint Gum from time to time every day. Enjoy that delicious Wrigley Spearmint flavor and enjoy the good, smooth chewing. Get a few packages of Wrigley Spearmint Chewing Gum and carry a package or two with you wherever you go.
All right, close it up. We're moving out. All right, you heard the man. Let's move it.
If you've ever wondered what hell was like, this is it. A world where men and women live like animals, and the only human emotions left are hate and lust. Chain gang women. They lived by one golden rule. Take what you want.
When you leave, take me with you.
I just got rid of one girl. Besides, it's dangerous with us.
I don't care. It's worse than the prison here.
Y'all just get out there and do a good day's work for the state. And we'll just get along fine.
Funny how, man, values change in here. Most important thing to use a bath. Next week it'll be a can of warm beer. And if you was here long enough, the most important thing would be to get out. A motion picture as shocking as it is true. Chain gang women. They had nothing to lose but their lives. And yours.
You know, honey, I could kill him or stick his eyes out, and it wouldn't make the slightest difference. Leave her alone! Let's move it. Day, son, working for the man with the gun. Be without a hammer, son.
Don't miss Chain Gang Women. When you live like an animal, anything goes.
Think of these audio exhibits, like that display case you remember from 9th grade science class. You remember? The pig embryo in the jar full of formaldehyde? The cow eyeball the teacher actually let you touch? These exhibits are just like that. Only, not nearly as memorable. And you won't have to explain it to your psychologist when you grow up. He made us touch the eyeball. You're listening to the Internet Archives of Audio Oddities.
And I hope you're enjoying what you hear and that you'll be a regular visitor to the Internet Archives of Audio Oddities. We'll be on the air here on Spreaker Web Radio every weekday, live from 10 until noon. And then the program will repeat on an on-demand basis on Podomatic, on our home website, which is Internet Archives of Audio Oddities. What is the name of that website? AudioArchives.com. I'm wrong there too. I'm looking right at it and I got it wrong. AudioOdditiesArchives.com. My eyesight is just going right to hell, and I got a dog barking in the background. Yeah, we'll be posting the program on that website as soon as the show is done. Audio Oddities Archives, all one word, .com. And you can reach us on Twitter at Audio Archives. That's at Audio Archives. We have a Facebook fan page. We've got a SoundCloud account. We've got Podomatic. And you can find links to all that on the homepage again www.audiooditiesarchives.com. There. I finally got it all out. But we continue now for another, 22 minutes or so. And if you like the original comedy you've been hearing on this show, they're available for sale as well. Just go to your favorite online CD or MP3 download provider like Amazon or iTunes or whoever you use, and do a search for my last name, Schmalfeld, SCHMALFELDT, and you'll hear all sorts of gems like this one here.
It began with a few words toward the end of the president's regularly scheduled Saturday morning radio broadcast. But before I wrap up our chat today, I'd like to say a few words about a dangerous new fad that's beginning to take hold in our high schools and colleges. Apparently, in the belief that it will get them high, or stoned, as the kids say, youngsters are taking rusty old railroad spikes and hammering them into their own foreheads with ball-peen hammers. I cannot stress this enough. This is a dangerous action, one I intend to look into. I will appoint Vice President Biden to head up a blue ribbon panel to see what we can do to stop this dangerous, self-destructive fad before it gets out of hand. Thank you, and God bless the United States of America. On Sunday, the First Lady appeared on Meet the Press, Vice President Biden appeared on Face the Nation, and Attorney General Eric Holder appeared on ABC's This Week, where he explained that pulling up railroad spikes for the purpose of driving them into one's own skull could be looked at as a criminal activity, because if a train were to derail due to missing railroad spikes, whoever removed the spikes could be considered as liable for the tragedy. The conservative reaction began on Monday morning with the Fox and Friends show.
Well, the nanny state is at it again, telling Americans what they can and cannot do with their own brains.
Right you are, Steve. In an effort to frighten American parents, President Obama has whipped up this railroad spike gate out of thin air. Gretchen, have you ever heard of kids driving railroad spikes into their own heads?
Monkeys are adorable.
Neither have I. And here to tell the truth about this fantasy scare tactic is Dr. Elmo Critter, a neurosurgeon from the University of Mississippi Medical Center. Dr. Critter, are kids getting high from driving railroad spikes into their own heads?
No, that's silly. Driving a railroad spike into the frontal lobes of your brain would perhaps produce a mild sense of euphoria at the best, but then there's the pain of getting the spike through your forehead skin, your skull, and the brain's protective covering.
But wouldn't it kill you, Doc?
Well, not necessarily, as if you're really dedicated, as you can see in the animation, if you're very careful with the placement of the spike, locate it directly between the brain's two hemispheres, you could likely survive having a railroad spike driven in between them.
Brains have hemispheres, like globes.
Globes are round. Well, we learn something new every morning on Fox and Friends. Reports of self-induced railroad spike brain injuries and death began to trickle into newsrooms, and Rush Limbaugh picked up on the controversy for his Monday noontime program.
It's just wild that Obama is scaring kids this way. Just like when his wife, Queen Jumbo, told the kids they should eat nothing but lettuce and filtered water while she gobbled down the French fries. It's just a bunch of nonsense. And as you saw on Fox and Friends this morning, a leading neurosurgeon said that driving a railroad spike into your own head is a perfectly safe thing to do if you do it carefully. Like smoking, like drinking. There are risks you take. But who is Obama to tell you can't take a risk? That's what made America great. Where's Mayor Bloomberg on this? He said you can't have a 32-ounce big gulp. Well, faithful listeners across the fruited plains, I have just finished 3 32-ounce big gulps. And I will now demonstrate just how safe it is to drive a railroad spike into your own skull. Now, if I say anything even slightly stupid in the next few minutes, it'll be because of the state of euphoria caused by the penetration of the frontal lobes directly between the two hemispheres of the brain. Now watch as I, Rush Limbaugh, once again prove the nanny state does not have your best interests at heart and only wants to control you. Rusty, the spike, and the hammer, please. Thank you. And you want to make sure you use a clean spike for this. We can't emphasize that enough. Use a clean railroad spike because you don't want to get an infection. That could be deadly. All right? Here we go. Now I've marked the spot on my noble, manly forehead where the doc on Fox and Friends said the spike should go. And we're off.
Despite Rush Limbaugh's death as a result of driving a railroad spike into his own brain, the various Tea Party organizations started the meme that Obama had somehow provided a poisoned railroad spike to Limbaugh, and set about to prove, once and for all, that driving railroad spikes into your own foreheads was a perfectly safe, fun, family activity if done carefully. At a mass gathering of Tea Party activists, Dr. Jerome Corsi, one of the original Swift boaters and senior staff writer for WorldNet Daily, addressed a group of 500 angry white Americans who did not like being told what they could or could not drive into their own skulls.
Obama isn't even an American, let alone a doctor. How the hell does he think he can get away with telling honest, patriotic, God-fearing white American men and women what they can and cannot use with their brains? So, raise your railroad spikes to the skies in your right hand. Grasp the ball-peen hammers in your left hand. Place the point of the spike right between your eyes, just above the bridge of your nose. Now you want to angle the spike so that it goes straight in, okay? Parents with small children, do this to yourself first, then to your children after you're finished. On my mark, is everybody ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
hundreds of such Tea Party gatherings all across the nation on Tuesday. At last report, 1.5 million Americans were killed by driving railroad spikes into their own heads, and that death toll continues to rise every day. But oddly enough, not everyone who attempted this fatal accomplishment was killed. In fact, when Sarah Palin addressed a Tea Party gathering on March 15th, she seemed just fine.
Kind of like getting a nipple pierced, but with a lot more blood. Other than that, piece of cake.
Railroad spikes and hammers bearing the CPAC logo were handed out. They're still removing bodies from the conference center at this hour.
Now, children, I am going to give you a brief history of our most popular national song, the Star-Spangled Banner. Although the Congress of the United States has never formally adopted it as the official national anthem, it is recognized as such by both our Army and Navy, and is played on all state occasions, both at home and in foreign lands. The author, Francis Scott Key, was born in Maryland, 1780, and died in Baltimore, 1843. His poem was first given to the public in handbill form, very likely on the morning of September the 15th, 1814, immediately after the successful defense of Fort McHenry. The first newspaper to publish it was the Baltimore Patriot on September the 20th, 1814. I will read to you its account of the circumstances under which the poem was composed. A gentleman had left Baltimore in a flag of truce for the purpose of getting released from the British fleet a friend of his who had been captured at Marlborough. He went as far as the mouth of the Patuxent and was not permitted to return, lest the intended attack on Baltimore should be disclosed. He was therefore brought up the bay to the mouth of the Patapsco, where the flag vessel was kept under the guns of a frigate, and he was compelled to witness the bombardment of Fort McHenry, which the admiral had boasted that he would carry in a few hours, and the city must fall. He watched the flag of the fort through the whole day with an anxiety that can be better felt than described, until the night prevented him from seeing it. In the night he watched the bombshells, and at early dawn his eye was again greeted by the proudly waving flag of his country. The Star-Spangled Banner is sung to an old tune of disputed origin entitled To Anacreon in Heaven. As Americans, we would like to claim both the music and the words. But if we are not permitted to do so, we can say with the writer of an official report on the subject, we took the air and we kept it. Transplanted to American soil, it thrives. As the air of To Anacreon in Heaven, it is obsolete and extinct. But as the air of the Star-Spangled Banner, it stirs the blood of every American, regardless of his origin, or the origin of the air. I will now ask the children to sing the first stanza.
Refugees have fled from the war, weary and worn, tired and torn, houses burning, no returning, hearts overflow. They're grieving at leaving with no place to go. As they toil on their way, now I seem to hear them say, we will build a little home in the USA, in the land of the stripes and stars. We leave behind us the sorrows and cares of war, and the Kaisers, the kings and czars. Uncle Sam spreads his arms across the ocean, and I know he'll never turn us away. So we'll sail across the foam and we'll build a little home in the USA. We will build a little home in the USA, in the land of the stripes and stars. We leave behind us the sorrows and cares of war, and the Kaisers, the kings and czars. Uncle Sam spreads his arms across the ocean, and I know he'll never turn us away. So we'll sail across the foam, and we'll build a little home in the USA. We'll go where we will never hear the gun's awful roar, where there's no war, peace evermore. Father, mother, sister, brother, happy they'll be, all cheering while we ring our sweet liberty, as we speed on our way to the good old USA. We will build a little home in the USA, in the land of the stripes and stars. We leave behind us the sorrows and cares of war, and the Kaisers, the kings and czars. Uncle Sam spreads his arms across the ocean, and I know he'll never turn us away. So we'll sail across the foam, and we'll build a little home in the USA. We will build a little home in the USA, in the land of the stripes and stars. We leave behind us the sorrows and cares of war, and the Kaisers, the kings and czars. Uncle Sam spreads his arms across the ocean, and I know he'll never turn us away. So we'll sail across the foam, and we'll build a little home in the USA.
You've been listening to our first episode of the Internet Archives of Audio Oddities here on Spreaker Web Radio. We're live right now at 11:53 a.m. on Monday, the 8th of June. And as soon as we wrap things up, this program will be available at through links you can find on my homepage, audiooditiesarchives.com. This may be this next selection here. And again, if you like my style of comedy, you can certainly find these on Amazon, iTunes, wherever you buy your MP3 downloads or CDs. This next piece is probably the most controversial thing I've ever recorded. And for the life of me, I don't know why. Hello, my most gentle friends. This is the Most Reverend Apostle Bishop Evangelist Biff Buford from the First Church of the Holy God in Righteousness, for his name's sake assembly of apostles and disciples of the one true Jesus. We broadcast from our facilities in East Elbow, Alabama, and although I fear this is much like shutting the barn door after the horses got out, I'm afraid I must warn you about something that it's probably already too late to stop. When the Boy Scouts of America decided to give in to the lure of money, which they say they need to continue to pay for operation expenses, instead of doing the word of the most holy one true Jesus and God, this became inevitable. We take you now to your typical Boy Scout jamboree campout, where Jimmy and Kenny are settling down for the night.
Gosh, Jimmy, I sure had fun being a Boy Scout today.
So did I, Kenny. And I'm happy that they finally let people like me into the Boy Scouts.
What do you mean, people like you, Jimmy?
You know, Kenny, boys that are attracted to other boys.
Well, heck, I'm attracted to other boys, too. Girls are ucky.
That's not the way I'm talking about, Kenny. I'm talking about sexual attraction. How old are you anyway?
I'm 9 years old.
I'm 11, and I already know a lot of stuff, Kenny.
Like what, Jimmy?
Like, you know how when you go wee-wee, it's usually yellow?
Yeah?
Well, I can show you a way to turn it white and creamy.
Gosh, that sounds like a neat trick. Is it magic?
It will be for one of us.
Wait a minute. What are you doing? Why are you pulling down my pants?
Because I can't put my pee-pee in your pooter hole when you have your pants up.
I don't want you to put your pee-pee in my pooter hole, Jimmy.
Well, you have to, Kenny. It's the new Boy Scout rules. Ever since they decided to let boys like me into the Boy Scouts, what they're saying is, you have to accept us. And that means you have to accept my pee-pee in your poo hole. Understand?
Well, I'm gonna go tell the scout.
Well, you go right ahead and do that, Kenny, but you're not gonna like what happens.
Why? What's gonna happen?
Well, they'll convene a scout council and put you on trial for the crime of non-diversity.
Gosh, that sounds bad.
Oh, it is bad, Kenny. Everybody wants diversity. You understand?
Not really, I don't.
Hi, I'm Scoutmaster Ted. What's going on here? Why aren't you boys asleep yet?
Oh, gee, Scoutmaster Ted. Little Kenny over here won't let me put my pee-pee in his poo hole.
Is that true, Kenny?
Yeah, but I don't want him to put his pee-pee in my poo hole.
Now, Kenny, remember, a Boy Scout must respect diversity.
I still don't see what diversity has to do with letting another boy put his pee-pee in my pool.
See, Scoutmaster Ted, he's committing a hate crime right here in the Boy Scout camporee.
If you want to stay in the Boy Scouts, you have to follow all the Boy Scout rules. And that means accepting the fact that Jimmy is a homosexual. And that means accepting the fact that he is attracted to you and wants to put his pee-pee in your poo hole.
Don't I have any say in the matter at all?
Why, no.
Of course not.
Well, gee, if it means staying in the Boy Scouts.
Now, that's the can-do spirit I expect out of Troop 69. Mind if I stay and watch and take some pictures? Oh, by the way, I am heterosexual, just so you know.
That's fine with me if it's okay with Kenny.
I don't think anything will ever be okay for me again for the rest of my life.
So you see, gentle listeners, this is what the Boy Scouts have sold their souls for. 30 pieces of silver, so that poor little Kenny has to accept little Jimmy's pee-pee in his poo hole. Is that what you envisioned when you sent your child off to the Boy Scouts? This is why our country is damned, damned, damned. And the most holy, true God of Jesus is going to take out his righteous indignation on us, just like he did to Sodom and Gomorrah. So be ready for fiery death, which will come at any time, as God shows us his love by destroying every man, woman, and child. I am the most reverend apostle, Bishop Evangelist Biff Buford, with this message of peace and love from the First Church of the Holy God in Righteousness for his name's sake assembly of apostles and disciples of the one true Jesus. Sleep well.
Across the nation, communities and the parents of Boy Scouts are observing Boy Scout Week, agreeing with the boys themselves that adventure, that's scouting.
Oh, my goodness. Hi there. We're done. There we go. That's our first episode of the Internet Archives of Audio Oddities. I'm Bill Schmalfelt. We'll try her again tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Tell your friends about us. Shoot us a tweet, too, if you get a chance, at Audio Archives. That's at Audio Archives. Till we meet again, toodles!
And now, dear, sweet, gentle listener, it's time to close the door on the Internet Archives of Audio Oddities. We do hope you'll join us Monday through Friday mornings at 10 for our live broadcast. Otherwise, you can catch replays of today's show on Podomatic, Spreaker, SoundCloud, YouTube, and on our home website, www.audiooditiesarchives.com. That's all one word, audiooditiesarchives.com. Reach us on Twitter, at Audio Archives. That is one word, at Audio Archives. Join us again next time when we open the doors of the Internet Archives of Audio Oddities.
The Internet Archives of Audio Oddities podcast is a copyrighted presentation of Bill Schmalfelt, copyright 2015, all rights reserved.